All right, so for today's video, we have an 1824 gas machine with about an 18 to a 20 inch cutting diameter. And this was a question that we had to answer for ourselves when we bought our 1824 diesel. So whenever I have somebody on the phone, there's a certain little criteria of questions that we go down through. So the first question that we always ask is, what is the actual log diameter that you're going to be cutting? So like our 14 series comfortably cuts about 16 inch. The 16 series is about 18 inch. The 18 series, like this one's about 20 inch max. The 18 series diesel, like the one that we had, was about 24 because it had that auto tensioner on it. And then the big 24-24, the 24-30, that's just your splitter length, 24 inches versus 30 inch, cuts through about 31 inch diameter. So a log like this would go through the 24-30, but that one's over 100 grand, where this 1824 gas is in the 60s. So for an extra, 12 inches worth of cutting diameter, is it really worth $40,000 more? If you're always getting big stuff like this, I would say the answer is yes. But if you get this occasionally and you have a mini excavator in your fleet, then I'll show you about a different product that we're going to work this one down. And if you've been on the channel before, you already know what I'm talking about, but we haven't done a black splitter video in quite a while. So guess what? That's what we're doing today. So we're going to take this oversized piece of wood, which I think I measured this before. We are right at 22 inches top to bottom. And then left to right, because we have this limb sticking out, it's right about 38 inches. And then I was already on the other end of this, and it's a solid 24-25, because that's the butt end of the oak log. So let me throw the camera around here a little bit, and I'll show you the black splitter, talk about it a little bit, and how we're going to take this oversized piece of oak and ultimately run it through the 1824 gas model and get some firewood delivered later this afternoon. All right, so this is the black splitter. It is a hydraulic cone splitter. You can use this type of an attachment on anything from, your mini skids, like your Toro Dingos, your Vermeers, the little boxers. That one is considered an S1 model. It's a little bit lighter, not as powerful of a planetary gearbox, but definitely on the cheaper realm. You're somewhere $5,000 to $6,000 for just the power unit and the cone. The brackets are always extra because we never know what they're going to go onto. The same thing with the hoses. We don't know how long something has to be. The mini skids, they're maybe 36 inches. You get into a big excavator like this, they might be 60 or 90 inches. So the next model up is an S2 630. Has the same case as this model, which is the 800 model, and the same size cone. This one in particular is the S2 800. You may ask, AJ, why do you run the S2 800? Well, this one gives me the most utility. I can run this one on something as small as a mini skid, or I can run on something as large as a 24,000 pound excavator. Now, this machine is an E60 from Bobcat. It is about a 14,000 pound machine. Gallon per minute wise on all of the black splitters should be somewhere north more of 13 gallons a minute. But what makes this unit really turn and keep turning the torque out of it is going to be 3,000 psi. I think we have this one tuned in for about 3,100 psi for going in clockwise, and then if anything ever jammed, we have it tuned where I'm about 3,200 psi to get it back out of the wood counterclockwise. So we're just using the foot pedal in this to rock back and forth. It also works our thumb, so we just disconnected the thumb lines and plugged into the auxiliary hydraulics to run the black splitter. So why do we have it on an excavator? Well, I like it on the Mini X because the whole boom is like an extension of my own arm. So I can take the cone, drop it into the wood that's like behind us, get it in there a good you know, 2, 3, 4 inches maybe, depending how heavy it is, then I can use this just like a rotator. So once I've got the cone into the wood, I can spin, pivot, and maneuver the log. I'll get that sitting here right in front of the backfill blade, auger back out of it, reach to the end, and then just start cracking that in. And then because it's on the boom, I can drill and crack it, pull it forward, drill and crack it, pull it forward, and just kind of keep doing that until I reach the backfill blade. Usually by then, the log will split in half. Now, when you use it on a skid steer, you have to auger in, get it to crack, auger back out, move over. That's why they call it a skid steer. It's a skid to steer. And you end up just making this mess on the wood yard. But if it's the piece of equipment that you have, then that is the right tool for you. But it's just, we have different things available to us. So I like the mini excavator, and I'll move the camera out here and kind of show you some different things and how we work the wood, and then get everything tossed back up on the live deck here. And then we'll run this through, because ordinarily you would never get this 24 to 32 inch piece of wood through this smaller processor. No matter what processor you get into, whether it's something from the Halverson lineup, the Brute Force lineup, you know, any other manufacturer, everything has its limitations. So it's a matter of what you do once you hit that limitation. Do you just go, too big, and set it aside and let it rot, throw it in a big burn pit, burn it up? I don't like to waste stuff, so that's again where we came into this, because when we were looking at our 1824 diesel machine, normally we get stuff 24 inches and under. So like I said, that's kind of the threshold is up to 24 on our diesel machine. So to go into that 2430 machine was like another $25,000, and I just went, for picking up just 6 more inches worth of cutting diameter, is it really worth $25,000? And I just couldn't justify it. That's just me. So with the black splitter, this one runs about $8,100 for just the power unit and the cone. And I said, for $8,000, I'm unlimited. So anything that I get in, now my record on this, which I don't have on camera, I do apologize, was a big maple, and it was like 89 inches across. So I don't care what processor you have at that point, it is not going to process 89-inch diameter wood. So kind of my catchphrase with the S2800 is, it makes the unusable usable. Stuff that you would normally just drop off at the dump, you'd have to pay to get rid of it. There is a substantial amount of firewood in those big rounds. I mean, even my resplit splitter, the 2624 from Brute Force, I think it goes up to about a 42-inch diameter log. Now, I like to be lazy, so could I cut this up into rounds? Yes. Could I pick those rounds up and put them on the big splitter? Yes. Or do I sit inside of a heated cab and play with some hydraulics? I'm going to sit in the heated cab and play with some hydraulics. So let me get the camera moved around, and I'll show you guys all about this piece. All right, so as you can see, this works absolutely beautifully. You know, there's pieces on here that are nice, you know, the triangular pieces, so it's going to go right through our wedges really, really well. The biggest thing with the cone splitter is you don't want to always engage this tip into the ground. We're either working on asphalt millings or dirt up here, so it's not as abrasive as like concrete or asphalt. But if you do get into those kind of environments where, you know, you're blessed to have something hard and non-muddy to work on, this portion of the tip is replaceable. There's like 6 or 9 bolts up here on top. You take those out, the cone comes off. Then there's a large, like 1.25 inch nut, and just the tip comes out. We have used the black splitter for cycling down stumps to go into like a horizontal grinder. It will break the stumps. They do have to be out of the ground. That way the wood has somewhere to expand. And because it's a stump, there's a lot of dirt that's just kind of grown into the wood. So it can be really abrasive on the cone itself. We have a guy up in Connecticut. That's all he does is breaks down big stumps and oversized pieces of wood for a grinder business. And that's where we've seen, you know, a lot of the wear and tear on the cone itself is from the actual stump and just the grit and the dirt that's in there. Now, working on the ground here, I'll kind of put the cone into the wood, pick up on it. That way I'm not just grinding the dirt into the bark. Is there some in there? Yes. Is it enough to really worry about? Not really. So it's just kind of, that's the trade-off, is just you have to try to keep the wood as clean as possible. We have picked these up before, dropped them just to get the dirt to blow out of the wood before. It's all up to you and what you want to do for your application, but that's just, I wanted to go right from the ground to here because of the video that we're shooting. So I'm going to take the grizzly bars off the back of the 1824, get our truck underneath it, and all this stuff is we're processing for my neighbor because he takes care of all my vehicles and I take care of his wood. So that's our wonderful little trade-off and barter system, and by golly, I really enjoy doing it that way. So it saves him time, saves me money, and we kind of go from there with it. So let's get that done. I'll move the camera around, get the 1824 fired up, and throw some sawdust around. All right, there's one feature that I want to show you here that comes standard on all the models from like your 18 series and up, and that's the side-to-side pivot. We don't always use it when we're running into the disc cleaner because it's just a straight up shot, but if you're processing a bigger pile or like this, loading a mason dump, you can actually pivot this thing side to side. So let me start the engine and I'll show you what it is. Was it pretty? No. Did it all go through? Oh yeah. Was it easier than bucking it up into rounds? Oh yeah. Did we make some money with it? Yep, because it all went into split firewood. Didn't have to pay to get rid of it, and didn't have to burn it, throw it over a hill, or just leave it on a job site somewhere. So that's how we use the black splitter in combination with any one of the processors, whether it's something from Halverson or from Brute Force. It's just a really nice tool to have in the toolbox. And again, it will work on anything from a mini skid steer up to about a 12,000 pound excavator. If you've got a bigger machine, then we get into like an S2, X1, and there's just some other big stupid stuff. And then we also get into actual stump shears and all that kind of stuff too. So If there's ever anything we can get you a sales quote on, you can give me a phone call. It's 833-SPLITTER. That's 833-775-4887. You can also email me at sales@shaverequipment.com. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. We're always working hard to be lazy. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.